Channel, the Car Guy Channel. My name is Mike Hennessy. This show is all about cars and all four car guys. Get yourself a cold beer. Get yourself a cold beer, guys, because our show is... We are smoking! I'm Mike Hennessy, and you're watching the Car Guy Channel. I have an auto repair shop. I've been in the business for over 30 years. You name it, we got it, we built it, we've done it, we do it. We love this car stuff, and I hope you guys do too. We're gonna have a lot of fun, got a lot of stuff cooking, so just stay tuned. Welcome to the Car Guy Channel. We got a show to show you guys all kinds of really cool stuff, some updates, what's happening on. And the other thing is, I got a few cars I want to show you that we put on a trailer, sent them all the way to Palm Springs to the Keith McCormick auction. I encourage anybody and everybody, families, moms, dads, car guys, car gals, car kids, go down to Keith McCormick auction. It's in Palm Springs every year. It's a fantastic sale. They do it twice a year. This sale was just great. The get in is $5. And I'm just telling you, that just beats a lot of the rules of what goes on with a lot of events and a lot of shows. And the town of Palm Springs, if you watch the episode, thank you. Your hospitality was fantastic for Mark and I. We had a fantastic time there for the whole sale, and it took a couple cars down there to sell. You're going to see the GT350 Mustang. I had a hard time getting rid of that car. I've had that car, I would have to say, for almost 25 years. When you have a car in your collection that long, you say, God, do I got to let it go as a part of the body? Yep, it's got to go. Time to make some changes. I told you earlier, my word's good. I want to change some of my collection around, get a little bit of different taste, a little different cars. It was time to go to a new home, and they just love the car. And, of course, we're going to cover a couple other things. Got a T-Bird on the show, bring you up to date on a new project we're doing on the Super Bee, and bring you up to date on the good old Lincoln. So, hey, sit down, get yourself a cold one, and enjoy the show. We're taking you guys and gals through all sorts of projects we got going on at the shop. I get lots of emails out of cards and letters, all sorts of stuff, what's happening or about the car that is happening down here. And of course, we got a 1969 Super Bee. Came in on a trailer, of course. It did not drive in. We didn't strip it down. My buddy Paul went ahead and took a lot of stuff off the car, and then he came up to the decision of saying, this is one heck of a project. And of course, it is one heck of a project. So we went ahead and put special wheels on this so we can actually maneuver it around. And you're going to see some pictures that we took. Estelle's going to put out there of what we're doing to this car and how we got it when it first came in. The biggest thing is to strip the old paint and the old Abondo and all the old crap and crud that's on this car. You're going to see some scraping that's done on the bottom side of this car. Raul claims, and I do believe him because there were piles of it, we think we got off 25, maybe 30 pounds. Yes, 25 to 30 pounds of crap. Call it tar, call it whatever you want to do, scraping it off the bottom of this car. Now, the only way to really get it off in today's world is heat. We have to use actually burners. We got to use propane type burners to get it off. We can use acetylene. We don't want to get the metal too hot. We don't want to warp anything, but we have to heat this stuff here up to scrape it off the bottom of the car. That's the only way this is going to get done. And with grinders, we have grinding pads, all sorts of different types of abrasive materials to go ahead and take this thing here down to the bare metal. Which you can see, that's the way this car here looks all the way around. And I'll show you some points why we're taking it down that far. We'll get the camera over here and we'll show you what we're talking about. When you grind and you take off the old Abondo and all the surface stuff that's actually on some of these cars, this is the best way to really do it. It is expensive. I'm not going to tell you it's not, but I think the end result is you're going to get a much, much better product and a better car and long term. And the other word I'm going to throw into the pile here is investment. These are investment cars. Super Bees are very, very well sought after, and you Mopar guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I do a show on Mopar, I make sure I'm pretty correct as I could get. But when you sand this stuff here down and you get to the bottom, you're going to see where all this whole area on the bottom of the quarter panel is completely rotted out. We'll be replacing this panel probably from a shorty from me to about here on down, replacing that panel. The only way to get out that rust and cancer is to replace that panel, and that's what's going to make this thing work. And again, when you're grinding, you're taking this stuff here out, it's not really that it's a bad car. It's a bad design in almost all makes and models of cars. The back windows that are installed in these, how the design is, the way the window saddles in here and the way the putty's put in and the molding on top of it, it's like a little miniature swimming pool. The water gets in there, settles in there, and after all these years, that's when rust becomes the problem. And then the only way to replace it is replace these whole back panels. We went ahead and ordered these. These are all new replacement panels from a company called Dynacorn. This right here has already been cut out. It's laid into position. We're waiting for these corners to come in so we can weld all this stuff up. We'll probably have about 3 to 4 days of welding panels back into this car to get this body straight and square back to the way it should be. After Estelle went through all the body and showing you a little bit about the car, when we were scraping the bottom end, we were extremely surprised. All the complaining we were doing about taking all the tar, undercoating all the stuff here off, it really did. It did its job. It protected the car. So underneath on the floor pans and all the areas, it did protect this car here pretty darn good because it actually looks pretty neat, decent. And we're going to go ahead and shoot that whole car in a paint that is an epoxy primer. It's a type of primer that you can actually Bondo over it after you scuff it, of course, and it just will seal this car here just beautifully all the way around. So as years go on, this car here should last an awful long time. Now, there's more to the car than just the body, which we showed you, the top and the bottom all the way around, the silver ghost over there. This thing has doors, it has a decklet, it has a hood, has all the other trimming that goes around it. But to get these doors here, to straighten it out, was probably almost just as much as a challenge as it was the body itself. Now, what I was trying to say earlier at one time on some other cars we do, these are not an easy car to do. They're probably very difficult for one of the American-made popular cars because there's no fenders available for these in the aftermarket world. Dynacorn does not make those type of parts for it. They make a few trim pieces, like in the back of the package tray where we'll be welding in for the back where the window comes in. But other than that, there's not a lot of parts available for these type of cars. That's why when you see a really nice one or see one, why the value is real strong is because they're rare. These parts are very difficult to come up with. We originally at one time wanted to replace the front fenders, but we got one heck of a body man that went ahead and just hammered out, and we're talking pick and punch to get all these fenders totally straight as we possibly could. We had days in just one of them, and it came out, I think, phenomenal. And of course, same with the doors. You just don't pick up the phone, order a door like you can a Camaro or a Mustang or a Chevelle. And El Camino, half a dozen other cars out there, you can get some parts for them. But, you know, Mopar is a difficult car to get things for, but these right here are straight as these things are ever going to get. And they had epoxy primer on them. They probably have 4 coats of regular primer and been blocked out. When I say blocking out, we use a block that's roughly about a foot long, sandpaper on it, and it works this way here. Then they go crossways. They kind of do like a cross, then back again. That will get this right here straight as you possibly can get. So we got the 2 doors right here, the fender, and that right there back there, we're going to take the camera over there and show you why it was difficult to make that straight. This fender here, our nickname for it was Marbles. This thing right here looked, it was molded all the way around. Looks like someone shot it with a marble gun. Hit everything everywhere. But to go ahead and paint it all out and then go ahead and put the filler on it. Now, don't be crazy when we go ahead and talk about Bondos and fillers. Bondos and fillers today are great materials. They have it pretty much down. Bondo's been on the market for quite a few years. In the early years, it was lead. Then a Bondo was the actual name. Then White Tiger was coming out. All different brands come out. Nowadays, they have fillers that are actually strong as or stronger than some metals out there when they're applied to the metal properly. This right here has been, again, set down and blocked out. The only way we can do it on the car, we set it up here on a bench and a holder, and to go ahead and block this here out. Part of the problems we really kind of had is when we put in the fender well molding in here. This car's going to be deleted with fender well molding, but we got to get these lines square and straight to make it look like you want it to look. You get a car that looks like this. My guy Paul gets on the phone, he gets on the computer, and he says, what's the next stuff coming in? What's new? What's hot? Gets on the phone, checks out with these companies. Hotchkiss has a full, complete rack and pinion system for this Super Bee. Paul, with no hesitation, got on the phone, ordered everything we're going to need. Boxes come in daily. So after we finish with the full, complete body in this car, we're going to paint the whole undercarriage first. It's another way of attacking it because of how we need to assemble this car. A unibody car, like the Super Bee, Mopar products, the whole car is all the same color, no matter what the car could be white, green, blue, whatever, purple, could be whatever, I should say plum crazy purple. It could be whatever the colors may be. The bottom side of the car is the same color as the top, or the whole complete body all the way around. Fortunately, this car is going black, so we're going to paint the whole complete bottom end of the car with a good, high-quality black paint with a hardener in it. Not quite like an Emron, but it'll be the very same color as the car. We paint the whole bottom end, then we can install all the new parts so it looks fresh as the restoration should be. And the same with the rear end. The motor came in, which is the 440 that he had in his garage. It's sitting right there in the front. We're going to go ahead and have Ed go through this thing here with the aluminum heads, all sorts of trick items on it. And we're going to do a system on the front that I'm going to show you that we're putting on the Lincoln, and it's kind of a two-part story. Now, we're getting some work done on all the other parts of the car, too. This kind of car takes up a lot of shop space. We are a small shop here. It's not a really huge facility, but we usually try to get the thing done and done right and look nice. This right here is the Super B hood. These are the scoop openings. For the two scoops, you can actually see that's in the picture of the car that's all black. Scoop will go here, and a scoop will go over there, some emblems on it, and this right here is what happens all the way around to get this car straight. So we're trying to straighten these pieces out. The bottom was had the sand, and again, scrape all the stuff off the bottom of these, take all the paint off the top you see in some of the photos. We got the hood here, we have the dash up there, and then right in front of Estelle over there is the deck lid. So everything's stripped, we're getting things ready to go on this Super B, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to keep you informed of what's going on. Technology and parts availability for building Restomods and all that type of stuff, I'm telling you, it is phenomenal for what we do. And there's a lot of great companies out there. There's CVF. Now, CVF, the reason why I'm showing you this is one of the coolest things I've seen out there. There's a couple companies that do make items like this, not to name them all. March happens to be a company. And even the factory has, you can go to Chevrolet and get items for the cars to turn it into a single belt drive. Now, that's what this whole setup, all the stuff right here. Now, the reason why we're talking about this kit is actually going into the 59 Lincoln project car. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and you've probably seen it in some of the other episodes. These right here, they just came in. I've been kind of excited to show it to you. This right here goes in the front of the motor. You're going to see it installed, and you're going to see that the air conditioning will go on this side right here. Alternator will go over here. This goes in between the water pump. And then, of course, you get the pulleys mounted all in these type of spots all over the whole thing, and that's going to be a single belt drive. Now, years ago, they didn't have that available to us. So how do we build this stuff and kind of design it? And Ed's one has actually the foreman on the project on this. When this here came up, he thought, that is a great idea. Let's go for it and put it on the car. We gave them a call. They sent us down this really nice setup for this car. It's going to be a Chevy 350. Now, to get back onto the Chrysler project car, the Mopar Super B, we went ahead and let Paul know again about this type of system. It wasn't no more than 30 minutes. He's on the phone ordering that for the 440 motor. He'll have his air conditioning mounted to it, his alternator mounted to it. It'll be a single drive, and plus, let's face it, it looks cool. I'm going to bring you up to speed a little bit on the Lincoln project that we're doing. These right here are the fuel injection lines. These are the fuel lines. The 3/8 is going to be the direct fuel line that's going to go to the fuel injection system that we got coming from Elderbrock. Elderbrock's been fantastic. We've been talking to these guys on the phone. They're coming up with this whole new system, and I'm not going to tell you more about it till it gets here, but I've been talking to Eric on the phone and some of the updates that they're going to be doing. This system will be set up so it's just going to be no adjustments when it's cold, no adjustments when it's warm. It's going to give this motor probably 25 more horsepower than it did from the factory, no matter what carburetor I would put onto it. And the neat thing is you'll never smell any gas in the garage. That's, to me, one of the biggest home runs of this car, and it brings the car up to today's standards of fuel. Fuel injection runs and fires gasoline better than a carburetor does. It would have been years for me to go ahead and say this and admit it, of course, but fuel injection is the way to go, especially when you're doing some of these retro rods. We're really kind of pleased with the new system coming in. We'll be talking quite a bit about that more on as the shows come on for the episodes. But these are the lines. We decided I run everything in steel. I don't like to do anything rubber as possible. We use steel with all fittings. This will come in the car. It'll be straightened out. There's holes that's going to be set up. This is just in there just to give you an idea at home to show you really what we're kind of doing. Plus show you that the disc brakes, we use the Kelsey Hayes front brakes on the car. We have disc brakes front and rear, all new suspension. And I got to show you the power booster. The power booster turned out really pretty neat. Kind of a neat idea in this Lincoln. Let's take it to the front and show it to you. There's so many important things you need to do when you're building these projects is you got to think ahead. And thinking ahead, you might not think a lot of stuff's been done since the last time you've seen this on the show, but all the brake lines are in also. And we have to plumb them through the whole system of the car. You'll see the lines are all the way through on the way back, and we use a clamp that has rubber on the ends of it so it won't scrape it or make a problem with it, so it'll always be safe on it. Running the lines is so important. These are areas of attention to detail. I hate to say it, when I go to some of the shows, I just kind of cringe and say, God, guys, just another hour or two, it could have been really right. You won't have to mess with it again. I try not to use rubber in anything if I don't have to, but running the lines up here. And if you can see on the top, we have the master cylinder. Now, of course, we are going retro rod with this car, coming up with colors and themes and stuff. And we went ahead and painted the power booster the same color as the car. We're going to be painting the motor the same color as the car. So when we get the new Edelbrock fuel injection system in on this motor, it should really look spectacular and look very, very Restomod. So you can see the power booster up there, and this all the system came out of a 1990 Ford Explorer. That's what we changed the system for, with late model 60s Kelsey Hayes 4-piston each caliper front brakes. I'm telling you, I think we covered a lot of the safety issues on the car with all the lines. So I just want to kind of keep you up to speed what's going on this, show you some pretty neat stuff on the Lincoln, because we're getting this thing here ready for Barrett Jackson, and that's where the home run's going to be hit.
So what you got here, this is an alternator inside of a generator body. So you get your old school rat rods or hot rods that came with a generator. The guys want to retain that original look, but the generators just don't perform like an alternator does. So they pack that thing full of an alternator, and it's good to go.
So this right here, like even like 64 thing, we'll get Mark about the half thing. He's on the half thing today. But 64 and a half Mustangs were Ford products. From 65 on down, ran generators.
Exactly.
So these right here are custom built. These are kind of cool, guys. This is kind of neat. I don't know if you guys know these things are out there. So hold this thing here. Then we'll do it one more time here.
You play.
We got right back here, and you got the diode trio in the background right there. This right here is probably the heat sink plate. Got the diode trio back here. It is now. Is this an internal regulator?
Yes, it is.
Oh, so it's a one wire.
You got a one wire. You plug it and go.
It's pretty darn cool. One wire generator. Excellent. Good job. Hey, you want to host the show? He can host the show next. We'll get Mark to host the show next time. And just go ahead and say whatever you want to say. It's all yours.
We'll be back with the Car Guy Channel just before you know it.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave. You know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day.
Let's talk Thunderbird. T-Bird is the nickname term for the Thunderbird. The T-Bird was an iconic car that when the minute you saw it, you knew just what it was. And it was the classy, kind of a luxury type sports car. It was a little bit different than what came out in 1953 for the Chevrolet Corvette. These were all V8 cars. For people who want to really drive and use these type of cars, I really admire safety. I say it on the show all the time. No matter what you do, taste is an issue, safety is not. Safety is where it really counts. And the way cars stop nowadays, they stop on a dime and give you 9 cents change. These cars have brakes on them that were drum brakes in the early 50s. And they don't really stop behind the real new Volvo or whatever the type of car it could be in front of you. We converted this car here over to disc brakes on the front. We did the factory package you can get from a company, put disc brakes on it. And the other thing is we wanted to go ahead and do and kind of put a little bit of style to this car here. We got the Torque Thrust D 5-spoke wheels. These are an alloy wheel. I think they look great on the car. Again, it's a taste issue. The wheels are safe and they're way to go, but we have put disc brakes on it. Makes this car here really, really great to drive. I highly recommend it. But this car right here was optioned out really pretty good. This car here has power brakes. It has power steering, and it has an automatic. Now, they had a stick shift car. Now, 1955 and 1956, the stick shift cars were all 292s. 1957, almost everything was a 312 engine. It's really called the Y block, is kind of the nickname for them. Don't want to confuse it or go over everybody's head. But it really was a Mercury motor what really came out on it. They were solid lifter engines all the way around, and they usually, when the lifters are adjusted, they sound just fantastic. There's a proper way to do it, which is always a right and a wrong way, in your way or my way when you do things, but there is a way. I recommend anybody always follow the book. But when you go over the T-Bird section like this right here, they do a nice clean engine compartment, how they laid the motor in when they designed it. Some of them run a little bit of hot by the way the radiator's kind of tilted, but I think they're a really good running car, great collectible car. I like them because they're all steel. Very cool. What I think they're really kind of neat about them is the lines. The lines on them are just so sleek and so smart. And some things they had to do that makes the 57 T-Bird I feel better than one of the other years. Again, other T-Bird owners don't kill me neither. But 56 and 57 came in with 12 volts. 55 was a 6-volt car. 6 volts just don't really work that well as in today's standards or operation for starting and all the other things. 12-volt car is really the way to go. I'm going to tell you, you're really going to enjoy that part of it. Check that out. Being a metal car, they're going to have heavy doors. And these doors are heavy when you go ahead and open them because they have a lot of, hardware to them. They got the handles, they got the lock, they got the latch. They have the chrome, the molding, the handles, and of course the glass and the chrome trimming that goes around the glass. And they had a kind of a wing window, you would call it a wind divider, whatever you want to call it. Wing window dividers is what the real term came into. But it's a heavy door. So when you open this car here, you do have a little room. Now these T-Birds had all sorts of options that really pretty much beat out Corvette. And me, always been a General Motors guy for many, many years, but learned to appreciate all makes and all models of all years of cars. They had power seats. Now this model car does not have power seats. They had a 6-way power seat for these, which was really kind of cool, but they had telescopic steering. There's a little collar in there you would twist, and you could bring the steering wheel in and out. Keep in mind, there's not a lot of room in this car, but they do have a very, very attractive dashboard. I would say the dash in this vintage of a car is probably one of the best out there, especially for the sports cars. I think when it came to options, T-Bird beat any of the sports cars that ever built anywhere, coming into America or even built in America. But when they came out with the porthole window in the year late 1956, it was iconic and people just went crazy over it. It really helped the sales. They actually built way more 1957 T-Birds than any of the other 2 years that went out there. But what really kind of made it famous really was Suzanne Summers in the 1957 T-Bird, the movie American Graffiti. So there's really kind of a lot to these. I always recommend it's a very, very good collectible car. They have some neat stuff coming out of these things here that I really think are great values. And you look for, the biggest thing you got to look for if you're buying a T-Bird is rust. Rust can actually kill it and make it or break it. And this particular car doesn't have any rust, which really makes this car here just fantastic. But there's just so many neat features to a 57 Bird. When the fins were coming in, 55 had none, and 57 had the fins. It just made the car. So 57, even with the Chevrolets and all the other products out there, coming with fins and changing the body styles, I think T-Bird, they hit the nail on the head on this one. Now let's talk business and cars. Cars and business kind of go together a lot of times, even for people that are diehard collectors and owners, drivers, users. I like fast ones, slow ones, high ones. You kind of name it. I kind of like all types of cars. Even like showing you for the 59 Lincoln Continental to one of the cars I've had in my collection for many years. It's time to make a change. I'm going to make a change in some of the cars. Now these auctions, the auction scenes have been absolutely phenomenal. A lot of you I know watch Barrett Jackson, you watch Meekum, you go to Russo and Steel, RM, Gooding, all the big auction companies all over the United States and some actually worldwide, of course, like RM. This car right here is going to be going to an auction called McCormick Auction over in Palm Springs. Why I set the car out for you today, I've had this in my collection for years. It's been up in the racks. Finally lowered it down. This right here is actually a replica of the Chevrolet, they're going to go ahead and shoot me, a Ford Mustang 350 Shelby. The car's a phenomenal car. I built this car here about 20-something years ago, maybe 25 years ago, and built it all to the same specs as a Shelby would have been done, with disc brakes, 4-speed, high-performance 289 engine, and pretty much did everything about as authentic as I possibly could. The back windows, the stripe on the car being Wimbledon white, and I did it everything just the way it was. I've taken it to many shows for many years, and it's always done really well. But you can see I did the Magnum 500 wheels, the striping on the car, and Estelle's going to go around this and show it to you. It's almost really ready to get loaded on the transporter. He'll probably be here within about an hour or two, but I thought I'd at least show you the car before it heads down. And I'm telling you, what a beautiful car. It really had the right marquee for being an actual Shelby car. Being a fastback was such a neat feature, and my buddy Mark's going to go down there with me to Palm Springs, so we're going to have a pretty good idea. And there's some special thanks that I do want to give. I don't do this all the time on the show. I need to thank my wife Susan. She set up plane tickets, she set up rental car, she set up hotels for Mark and I to stay at. It was really kind of neat. Susan, I know you had a busy week. Thank you, sweetheart. Guys, remember what I just said. It's the right thing to do. Susan, you did great. We talked earlier and hoped you liked that Mustang. Finally thinking this thing here to go. But going to the Keith McCormick auction over in Palm Springs is going to be absolutely a blast. My buddy Mark's going with me, like I mentioned, and we're bringing these cars up. Now, this right here is a 1963 Corvair Greenbrier van. Now, they had a few different engine options. They had some low horsepower ones. They had them all the way up to 150 horsepower for the Spider type cars. And they had 2 carburetors, 4 carburetors, and a turbocharger. These did not sell with superchargers on them. They didn't go that avenue at all. But these are just, for some reason, they're hitting the market, they're hitting hot. And so I'm kind of hoping this does real well. And in my business, I'm fortunate to have a good buddy of mine, Mark. Mark hangs around me at a lot of events. Mark and me kind of pool some money together, and that's how we buy a lot of cars. We have a lot of fun with it. And this is one of our project cars, purchase cars. We're trying to see how it does in the market itself. The color's great, the wheels, it's just so period correct on what someone would do. You know, it's kind of a nice soft silver in the middle, kind of a bronze color here, and the inside, you gotta see the inside. Now, these are hot. They're coming on really pretty strong, but these are kind of like a party unit. They're very retro. They're very cool. The way the seats were kind of done, the seat design really was Mark's idea. Mark came up one day and said, you know, instead of the seat here turning around this way, here more like a bus, let's make it more like a party fun unit. We got a small little table that goes in here, you know, with some cups and saucers and things like that. But we went ahead and mounted this seat here to face this direction. So when you put the thing in, you park it by the beach or wherever you go, set some snacks up out here, get a couple cocktails, get some people to have some fun. That's what this is all about. And when you get the camera in here, you're going to see the dash of this thing here. I get excited about it because it's really pretty cool. No big budget here. This is fun stuff. I got to tell you, a car that I think is absolutely cool, and it's, you know, I'm not talking about budget and values like we're on some of the bigger dollar stuff. This car right here, I get more compliments driving this car than any other car that I've had in a long, long time. A 1973 Mercury Montego. I got this car right here from the original owner. My buddy Mark called me up. He heard about the bargain, made a phone call, went over and saw the car. We both wrote a check and put the car through detail. I'm telling you, everything on this car is 100% original. The paint, the bumpers, the tires have been replaced. We put these wheels on the car because we thought that was the look for it. They had 2 of them on here. They were didn't look as good. We put a fresh set of rims on the car. This car here would take you from here to New York and back without no problems whatsoever. Has a 351 Cleveland engine in it. It has all the options. Everything works. I feel like a used car salesman. But the neat thing about it, I've always liked it because it's sterile. And the big joke someone said one day, it's like the Ward Cleaver car. Well, Ward Cleaver was a little bit earlier in this. For some of the clientele that watches our show, this is more like the Brady Bunch era. But I'm telling you, these are coming alive, and anything stock, anything original, this clean is a survivor. This to me is what the word is called a barn find. I think these here are cars that are going to be going up in value when they're this nice. And they're just really cool all the way around. I hope you enjoyed the show because we are beat. We had a great time down in Palm Springs, but I will let the cat out of the bag. We did sell the Shelby clone Mustang GT350. Did hate to see it go, but it went to a great home. And that car there turned out really pretty nice. The people real nice. I met them when they bought the car, and it was pretty cool to see that go. The Greenbrier van did sell. Adios to a new buyer, a person who understands them, likes them, and respects them. We had so many good things happening and what's going on out there, and I'm telling you, we had a real busy week with all the projects, so keep those letters coming in. I know you guys like to see things going on here at the shop. We'll try to keep those things going. We got Hot San Jose Nights coming up. We got Dream Machines coming up. We got Mountain View a la cartes coming up. We got all sorts of things happening for this coming up summertime, and I'm telling you, we're going to be having a frickin' blast. So hey, see you down, and God bless you, and take care.